Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Africa Straight Talk. We are Africa Unapologetic podcast that dives deeper into the African immigrant experience in a very unique and straightforward way. I'm Emmanuel Nado, and we truly appreciate your continued support of our podcast. Joining me today are my esteemed co-host, Kwesi Wilson, a communication study professor at the College of Alameda, and the host of the podcast, Telling Tall Stories, and Zika Oko, a broadcaster and digital media voice known for our sharp lens and honest, unfiltered perspectives. So, how's you guys doing? It's been a while since the last time we talked.
It's been a while since we talked, yes. It's been a month. And I hope everyone is healthy. I got a chance to visit Zika and her husband. I haven't seen them. Well, I've seen them. I saw them on my birthday, but I hadn't visited them since Zika and him got together. So it was nice to see them and hang out with them for a little bit.
Yeah, it was nice to see you. I don't like short visits. I guess that was not a perfect timing, but I'm hoping and looking forward to another time or season when you're going to spend a whole lot of time with us.
Look, Nado, maybe we should have they cook and we come and eat. And
yeah, exactly. We should have that, the Africa Summit.
Africa Summit.
I can do that.
Yes, we could plan that when I come back.
Yeah.
When will you be back, though?
I come back middle of August.
Oh, that's almost the end of summer.
Yeah.
But that'll be good, too. That's a good timing for me, too, anyway. So, yeah.
Oh, good.
Kwesi is a very lucky guy. I mean, every year he had a chance to go back home and charge up and...
I know.
Go to
recharge.
We are back here to talk about... we don't have a guest today, but we want to talk about things that have been happening in the continent. And I wanted to start by saying that in 2015, I think, I was back in Africa, and I visited your place, Ghana. Then I went to Liberia, of course, and then Ivory Coast. But something that I noticed is that the exhaust from the car, the pollution, it was so unbelievable.
Now, how often do you go back home?
Not often.
That's why.
Yeah. I'm not fortunate like you, man.
That's why.
So
it's part of the fragrance of Africa.
Exactly. I mean, the sky is gray, and whenever you are in front of a car takes off. You can move because the smoke.
The smoke. Yeah. Yes. You see a policeman standing right there, and nothing happens. That smoke, it feels like a chimney behind the car.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I'm bringing that up because I want to talk about transformation of petroleum in Africa. Because I tried to find out why that was, not only because the car were Asian cars. I heard that they were sending dirty fuel to the African countries. The African countries were buying dirty fuels that were being refined in Europe, and then they're selling us the bad part of part. Exactly.
I know the fuel in Ghana is it pink in color? The color is different from the fuel here.
Okay.
You know, here it's kind of like
clear,
yellowish.
Okay.
Yeah. In Ghana, it's pink, but I don't know why, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
But this is my first time hearing that they're selling us badly refined oil.
Yeah, exactly. They send them the fuel with a high sulfur levels, you know. And so I'm saying that because I'm very happy that Dangote and Nigeria have decided to use its money to do some transformation, the gas transformation there, which means that we probably going to have a clean oil or something. So I wanted to talk about it.
Absolutely.
I was going to say that I think the color of Nigerian gas or fuel, like we call it back home, is the same color here. I don't know. I've not noticed any difference, at least since the
Oh,
last time I
really?
checked. And now, yeah, I think it's the same color. Now, why I'm saying it's the same color, back in Nigeria, we don't have 24/7 power supply. So most of Nigerians, at least in the cities,
You go and
rely
buy.
greatly on generating sets, on generators. So we buy these things in gallons or jerry cans,
And you all see it, right?
and we see it, right? Because the fact was on our hands or our feet, whatever it is. So, yeah, I think it's the same color. I never knew that gas or fuel, let me call it fuel for the sake of this African podcast we're doing, right?
Yes.
I never knew that fuel had a pinkish color. So is there a difference in terms of the texture or quality of the pink and the color we know here?
That's something that I now want to look into. Because I'd noticed that in Ghana it's pink. And although we didn't have the generator problem, the electricity problem, I had a broke problem when I was young and we run out of gas and we have to go buy gas.
Yeah.
So I got to see the color of the gas there and it was pink, almost like light reddish, pinkish. And then here I've seen that it's yellowish. And so I just thought it's America versus Ghana or Africa. I didn't even know that Nigeria also has the yellowish one.
We have the yellow, well, from where I grew up or where I lived, yeah, it was yellowish.
I see.
Same color, yeah.
It'll be interesting to really look into that and see if there's a difference.
You can branch to Nigeria when you travel to check.
I haven't been to Nigeria since I was a kid. It would be nice to do that. Yeah, since I was a kid. My mom used to live in Nigeria now, so.
And you never went?
No, not
age?
since as an adult.
Oh.
I haven't been to Nigeria, but this time around I want to go to Benin. So
that's a lovely place to be, though.
Yeah, I'll go to Benin, not Benin state in Nigeria, but Benin, Dahomey.
Dahomey, the old.
Oh, Benin.
Yeah,
Benin, Benin. Benin, yes. I'll go to Togo and then Benin, but I'll not make it to Nigeria.
Oh.
Yeah. I want to go at the end of end of July. So my last week in Ghana, I'll go to Benin and then come back.
So I wanted to say that really that in the past, the people have said that Nigeria had the best crude oil. Yeah, the best crude oil, and but the country has the best crude oil, has a lot of oil, but there was still oil was almost not accessible to everyone, and the Dangote refinery is now actively supplying refined fuel to not only to Nigeria but to multiple African nations now.
Yes, and then I think they tried to get him to accept OPEC or whatever to get competitors
exactly
in the space, and I'm like, why? But I think given the Strait of Hormuz blockade, it's just the timing couldn't have been perfect for Dangote's company.
Exactly.
And I think they're doing well. There are other things too that, Nigeria paid off the money that they owe IMF. Ghana also did.
Oh, really?
It's just, yeah. Nigeria paid off the money they owe IMF. Ghana also paid off the money they owe IMF. And so I was listening to Dangote talking about environments that are really ripe for investment. And he named a few countries. Ghana, Ivory Coast was one of them. Ghana was one of them. So just yet to see what sort of investments that because he was talking about, he looks at the things that we need and he makes his business decisions based on how we can locally produce the things that were important.
Exactly.
Which is the way we should be going.
Because basically Africa's problem has never been lack of resources. We have a huge chunk of natural resources in Africa, but the deeper issue is that too many of African countries, we export, value in raw form and then import it. We're talking about chocolates, earlier on.
Yeah.
And you said there are some two sisters who started a chocolate factory in Ghana. But a lot of times we see that we export these raw materials, and then when we travel, like maybe Kwesi, when you're going back now, you take some chocolates back with you. And it's the raw materials we've gotten from Africa. And then we're buying it at a higher price from the US or from the Western countries. So as Dangote is taking a look at other countries that are viable for investments and all that, Africa is a viable place for investment. But we talked about the power problem we have in Nigeria, and then there's the security part of it too. We have the natural resources, but we don't have that manpower to take care of the natural resources we have. We don't have that manpower to utilize it as much as the West or the Westerners are doing with theirs. So I think it's something that Africa should actually wake up to.
Yeah.
So I'm liking the trajectory that is going.
I think one of the things that we in Ghana are grateful for is Nkrumah's foresight in developing our power before, it was hell. He is probably the biggest undertaking any government has taken in
Ghana
at the time. Yeah, in Ghana. But now I know Ethiopia also did theirs, right?
Yeah.
With the Chinese. But it's a huge undertaking. And he paid a political price for it. But people couldn't see what he meant by, I need to power the whole country. Most people didn't understand that. And now we look back and, we have almost 24/7 power supply. And you look at other countries within the region.
West Africa, yeah.
Yeah, and, they struggle with that.
Kwesi, I know I can check this on Google right away, but let me ask you. They say that Nigeria is 2/3 of Texas. Am I right? Texas is 2/3 of Nigeria. Like, yeah.
The size, yeah?
Is it Texas is 2/3 of Nigeria is 2/3 of Texas? Texas is one of the second largest states in the US. So Nigeria is 2/3. No, Texas is 2/3 of Nigeria. How big is Ghana in terms of comparing with the states in the US?
I would say that Ghana is about 1/3 of California.
Oh, okay.
Ghana is small.
Ghana is very small.
Ghana is small. So from the top to the bottom of Ghana, it's like from here to LA.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the top to the bottom of Ghana, it's like from here to, it's about 300 and something miles.
Yeah.
What's your population like?
Our population is now 36 million.
Oh, okay. Impressive. Your president has done well. When I heard him speak at the UN the other day?
Right.
I was so impressed. Now, not because I was underestimating African leaders, but it's been a long time we heard an African leader speak intelligently.
Yeah.
And
that is why a lot of people think that Africa is backwards when they hear. Now, please don't get me wrong. I embrace my mother tongue every day, anytime, anywhere. I will speak the way my mother tongue allows me to speak, and not try to mimic so much of the Western culture.
Western culture, yeah.
But that has also betrayed us in terms of when people hear what we're on the international stage, and we are not eloquent, and we are not able to pass our message. It's quite shameful. Now, English is an international language. Our language in Africa is not international. Unfortunately, not yet. I hope some days it will be. But when I heard him speak, I was so impressed. I was clapping from my distance. I hope he heard it. Because he really, the points were clear. Everything he said was I was so proud of Africa.
Mahama, just to give you a background, Mahama's background is in communication studies.
Yeah.
Communication studies. His background.
So, you see, I don't even expect less.
He was the information minister under Rollins.
Yeah, and he's
at some point. So
exactly.
I love Rollins too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the thing that was impressive about all of that, because I think it's the only time in my lifetime that I've seen an African country put a resolution at the United Nations and get it passed.
Yeah.
Nado, correct me if you've of any other person that has done, any other African country that has brought up a resolution to get the whole world or the whole body behind him. Only 52 countries abstained or turned it down. 3 said no, 52 abstained, right?
Yes.
And we know the suspects, but the thing,
the usual suspects.
Well, of course, the people who have a lot to pay when it comes to that whole history. But he was able to get, it took years, but he was able to get all the other African countries. It started actually under Akufo-Addo, and he was able to get all the other African countries, all the other developing countries, the rest of the world bodies, to sign on so there was a lot of coordination to get the CARICOM, right?
Yeah,
to join, to get the Latin American countries to join, all of them, of course, except for Argentina. But there are people who wanted him to change the language from the gravest to one of the gravest.
Well,
and he said no.
He said no. Yeah.
Because there's no other crime that exceeds that.
Yeah.
But I think I was quite impressed with the effort and the leadership he took on that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go back to this, the oil refinery, Dangote in Nigeria. I got really upset when I read that these Western countries from Europe, they want to come back and compete. They have the gut to come back to request to compete after they've been there for all these so many years, taking the oil, taking it back to Europe and making profit out of it. Now they want to come back and
so for me,
isn't that embarrassing?
Here's the thing that my take on that competition thing, right? Is the competition going to be that they're going to bring build refineries on the continent? If the competition is going to be that they're going to build refineries on the continent, right, then I have no problem with that. They should have been building the refineries a long time ago.
Exactly.
Right? But if the competition will drive the cost down for Africans, then that will be a good thing. If it drops, because you get what I mean? Because Dangote alone being in that space, is the cost is going to go up. There's no competition. There's just going to be monopoly of the prices. So if you have multiple companies, because I'm also looking at jobs. I'm also looking at job creation, right, within the continent. And it's the competition. I don't mind them bringing competition. But are you going to pay the workers a living wage when you come in? Are you going to exploit them? We have to put safety net programs to safeguard the interest of the people. Are you going to be environmentally conscious? Because you look at the Delta and how they messed up the Delta, the fishing industry, the Delta. If you go to Nigeria, Shell and all those people destroyed the habitat for the natives over there. Yeah. So what kind of competition are you bringing again? So if I'm at the table with them, I don't mind bringing the competition, but it's not going to be, business as usual.
Exactly. Because like you said, you're talking about the Delta with Shell and,
Exxon and all those.
Yeah, Exxon, and all this problem that happened. And these people, you can't trust them.
When you go to Africa, for instance, traveling within Africa is very expensive, right? Even when you're in Nigeria, Zika, how much is it to travel from one place, maybe Abuja to Lagos?
I'm very embarrassed to say that I don't know, I think I haven't lost touch, right? But it's so annoying to hear people say that to travel from, let me use a familiar place, from Lagos to, let's say, Calabar, is about 100,000 naira or even more,
Which is how much in dollars?
Now, I have to calculate that. Now, let me even give a more recent. My parents were supposed to travel around Christmas time in the early December, not even during the festive period. And their flight for both of them was going to be $500,000 naira, plus or minus $500,000 naira. Let me see if I can quickly do that. $500,000 naira it was so scary and annoying that the country I left, when I can travel from my village to Lagos with 20,000 naira, and in fact 50,000 naira, is now $500,000 naira for two people. It's very sad. Everything in Nigeria is expensive. It's difficult to get to point A from point B or from B to point
Ghana
A. It's very
Togo.
difficult.
From Ghana to Togo, right?
How much was it before and how much is it now? Okay.
It's $800, $800.
Oh, wow.
$800?
Yes, Nado. To fly from Ghana to Togo is 3 hours drive. It's a 1 hour or 45 minutes flight. For the 30 minutes flight.
Oh, wow.
From Ghana to Lagos, it's around the same thing.
Yeah.
Ghana to Ivory Coast, it's around the same thing. And the reason for that, I was trying to go to Kenya. I was thinking, if I go to Ghana, I'll go to Kenya, I'll go to other African countries. And then when I get there and I look at the price, I was like, I'm better off flying from here to that country. You know, I just can't comprehend paying, it's crazy. Almost my plane ticket to Ghana to go to another African country. And the reason for that, they don't have competition. No, I don't mind the competition because if you go to Europe, you're going from London to Germany or France, Nice. I paid $50?
Yeah.
$50, sometimes $35, just the flight. It's just they have discount airlines like Spirit, like Eurowings and Ryanair and all these airlines. And so the only difficulty is
you have the trend too, the Euro train.
Yeah, you have the Eurostar. You could take the Eurostar is quite expensive, more expensive than the flight. Or you could take the ferry. You're listening to Africa Straight Talk, your go-to place for African immigrant experience.
Now, talking about the monopoly you mentioned earlier, and Dangote being in that space alone, and you don't mind if there is competition from the European continent. I would say that what did they do before that went well in Africa, and what is going to be the difference that they'll make? Now, it just looks like, in fact, it takes me to the biblical, saying, old wine in a new wine skin.
Right.
So, the question is, what is the difference? Is this a new packaging? Is that all they are doing? Because that's what people do nowadays on social media, just repackage yourself, as they say, just to sell, just to get views and all that. So I think this is about a generation questioning old relationships between Africa and former colonial powers. Now, France was one of the colonial powers, and we saw what happened in some of the countries that they colonized and how they fought back this influence from France. Now, as France is trying to rebuild the influence in Africa, we know that they've lost some grounds. But Emmanuel Macron had a summit.
Yeah,
I think it was in Nairobi, right?
Yes.
And he was promising agriculture, AI, energy, and investments. Now, Africa already knows all these things.
Exactly.
Now, they know that we are in dire need of some of these things, and they want to come in for what reasons, really? Because now we have Dangote. I'm not embracing this monopoly thing because it's going to make him just richer and richer by the day. He needs competition, but we could get competition from Africa. I don't think France or any country from the West needs to help with our problems. If they need to help in some ways, they could give grants or loans to companies to build these things as Africans in Africa. And not them coming to pitch a tent in Africa saying that they want to compete with. No, I don't think that Africa is going to embrace that, knowing where we are coming from and what has been happening for the longest time. So I'm not sure that even if we want to demonopolize this market, this gas market, I'm not sure that Europe or any other continent should come into play.
I think the saying you were trying to get is best captured by a decorated donkey is still a donkey, right? Or,
Yeah.
A pig with lipstick is still a pig, right?
It's still a pig.
Right.
And there's also the other one, a dog never changed the way it sits.
It sits, yes. Now, that said,
The leopard cannot change its spots.
yeah, that said, we have to change our approach. People will treat you the way you allow them to treat you, right? And so now we have Dangote in the house where we can find our oil.
Yeah.
Without them, right? If you're going to come in, we are setting the ground rules.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're setting the ground rules that you have to employ this percentage. You have to have this certain number of locals in higher management. You have to have. Look, we need to go the China model. China had a lot of companies come and invest in their country. But what they insisted is you do a knowledge transfer. You show the people how to do the stuff. You hire the locals. You train them. So now it got to a point where Chinese were manufacturing everything on their own, and they didn't. Now they're competing with the West, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a burgeoning population, the fastest growing population. We need to find jobs for people to work. Dangote will be hiring people, but still not at the capacity that it will scale the number of people looking for jobs. We have the fastest growing economies. We need to be thinking about 10 years, 20 years from now, the things that will be our problem. Because if we don't start thinking about creating jobs today, our economies will struggle with crime and everything else because people will be idle. And idle hands, we know what happens when people are idle.
But Kwesi, do you think there was no gentleman agreement back in the day? We were both not born at the time when this gentleman agreement could have been made then, before they came to colonize. Because I feel that these new partnerships they are trying to rekindle is an old influence just repackaged in a softer language.
And
totally
now,
agree.
I like what you said about China going the Asian way or the Chinese way, right? I'm hoping that Africa has that mentality to do that, but so far I'm not sure we are there yet. But
yes, I agree with
allowing
you.
these Europeans come and you say, oh, we're going to give them the rules and regulations, transfer of knowledge and all that stuff, and empower the Africans. These things, I think, may have been said back in the day.
No,
and it wasn't. They took the longer part of the stick.
Yeah.
No,
And then we ended up being slaves in the West.
Those agreements were not set in place back in those days. Our chiefs and stuff signed off land and everything else to people just like that at whim, right? Ghana
there was an exchange done. They were not just signing off lands for nothing. Maybe you give them the gunpowder or the mirror or something. There was an exchange.
It was called trade.
Yeah.
But the trade wasn't to our benefit.
No.
But I'm talking about even the land titles and this, how Ghana didn't get to be owned. You know, there's different types of colonization. The South Africa colonization and Zimbabwe colonization is different from Ghana colonization, right?
Yeah.
And there was this guy called Wilson Say who actually went the land something policy, where he went to England to actually go protest and then make sure that we didn't get our land taken away from us. But there were things that, like Cecil Rhodes, took the land from Zimbabwe and Namibia and all those people, right? And so people made bad deals back then. And the deals were given in that the Europeans had the upper hand and everything else and took everything away from us. Now, I'm not saying we should just blindly let them in. I'll give you an example of what Ghana is doing now. All the companies that are exporting gold and taking gold from Ghana now are required to have the interest. There's a sliding scale where, based on the world market prices, we charge differently. If the price goes up, we charge differently. They were used to paying the bare minimum and then smuggling the gold out of the country. they're really not happy with Ghana now. But Ghana has insisted that every gold that leaves Ghana has to be refined in Ghana.
Yeah.
You don't
That's
take
true.
the raw material in Ghana. They're not happy about that. Ghana, so all the value added processes of the gold to make into the chain and everything else has to happen in Ghana before it leaves Ghana. You don't take the raw gold out of Ghana now.
No.
Right?
That's what's happening in Mali. That's what's happening in Burkina Faso, Niger also. And this is the problem that is really hitting the French very, very, very hard.
Very hard.
You know, they cannot even balance their own budget for the last 3 years.
The French one is because they've lost their colonies, right?
Exactly.
They've lost the Mali, the Sahelian colonies.
Yeah.
What are you going to say, Zika?
You were the one that mentioned Nigeria's Niger Delta, the Shell and Chevron and other people that came into Nigeria, and we have the oil spillage in Nigeria. Now, I want to believe that Nigeria's wealth, was basically in the Niger Delta, where these oil giants came to pitch their tents. Yeah. Now, we're not talking about colonial time. We're talking about modern day Africa, where there were some papers signed, and this oil giants from whether it's Europeans or Americans or wherever, the papers were signed, and they came to pitch their tents in the Niger Delta especially. We haven't recovered from the spillage as we speak. Yeah, we haven't recovered. No. Now, when you talk about having this calling the shots, Africans calling the shots, it's possible. But now, in as much as I wouldn't want the Europeans to come and take advantage of Africa in any way, let's talk about the mentality of Africans. Now, I'm saying this because a lot of people in the Niger Delta, I stand to be corrected, but I'm sure that I'm mostly correct. A lot of people in the Niger Delta that were part of those that signed this gentleman agreement in port are the ones that benefited or are still benefiting from this oil spillage stuff, because monies were exchanged, account details were exchanged, and the majority of the people who are suffering this oil spillage are the farmers and those who did water business. Either you're a fisherman or you have a farmland that produces, some stuff. They didn't get compensated. There was a lot of fight and burnings and killings in the Niger Delta due to these things. And we're talking about recent history, not in the 1900s or whatever. So what do you think is I don't believe that there will be a change. We've talked about, we've said it in different phrases. A leopard cannot change its skin and all that and all that. A dog cannot change the way it sits. Why should we believe that in this situation, if we open our arms to embrace these people, that anything will be different? Because if you ask me, only if Nigeria has changed over time, only if African leaders have changed over time, there will still be this problem of corruption where people say, okay, you know what, come to my country, I'll give you this land, I'll give you this space. But the monies are going just into a few pockets and not to the majority, not those that need the money the most. So in as much as I want Africa to stand on its own the way other continents are standing, are we even ready to embrace this new change? Are we ready to drop our mentality of eating the national cake? It's my turn. Emilio Con, I have to be there. If it's not me, it can't be anyone else. Has the mentality even changed? Or are we just looking to, let's get them? When we see white people in our country, it means there's growth in Nigeria or Africa?
I get what you mean. Basically, there has to be some preconditions in terms of resetting our minds before we invite them. And I completely agree with you on that, because we haven't done the due diligence to be ready to do that now. I guess what I'm saying is more aspirational as opposed to whether we are ready now. You get what I mean? We have our mindset ready now. Most of our leaders, when they go and sit at the table, they're not looking at what's in the best interest of the nation. They're looking at their stomach. They're looking at how they can set up their family. They're just happy to be sitting there with Oyibos and everything else and rubbing shoulders and thinking that they're big shots. They go in there with their private jets and all this other stuff. They really don't go with the interest and well-being of the people at heart. Those things will have to change.
Exactly. Now, there's this guy I used to follow on Instagram. I stopped following him. He was quite controversial. But one of the stories he said on his Instagram page was that, I don't know how it's done in other African countries, but politicians have aides, right? You have people under you that, like, you have your chief of staff, you have different kind of staff under the chief of staff. And then there's this one guy who is nowhere close to the chief of staff, like he's way down the ladder of relating to the politician in question. Yet this young boy, I'm talking about someone in our generation, someone between the age of 30 and let me say 45, that this guy has 4 properties in Canada and I think in the US. Mm-hmm. And the question is, where did he get his money from? So how can a young boy, look at us. We are struggling well, maybe not struggling, but we are trying our best to feed ourselves, to put a roof over our head.
We are struggling. Have you seen the gas price? I'm struggling.
And there's this young boy who, from his AC car to AC office, is buying property in Canada and in the US for his children that are younger than 20 years.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
When Mahama first came in to power the first term, he decided to hire a whole bunch of youth because he thought the youth would be the ones that, not like the old guards and the old farts that, chop money and everything else. And these young cats, when they came in, oh Lord, they cleaned house. Everybody was buying a filling station. Everybody was buying this, buying that, because when we see power as a conduit to self-service, right? Yeah. Where we don't see power as to use public office to serve ourselves. Yeah. The interest is not to serve the people, So when they come, it's like, it's our turn. We will not get this chance again, right? So let's set ourselves up, and that's the mentality we approach these things with. So I agree with you. There's a lot of preconditions that has to be in place.
I like the fact that the youth activists in Nairobi, they submitting and check. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Macron comes in and he goes on the stage and took the microphone from the.
And then Macron is talking to them like kids.
Yeah, the kids.
Yeah, he was
because you don't want to use the white mentality or white privilege in Africa.
Exactly.
That will not work, at least not anymore.
Yeah, he was very, we allowed them to treat us like infants.
No, we chose that way. We made them treat us that way. Exactly. They did not wake up to treat us that way. We decided, we are inferior. You guys are our gods. You are the superior person and you treat us the way. And it's shameful. It's shameful, and I think that's why Africans should travel out of Africa to know that there's no difference. The only difference is the color of our skin. But from the brain to the sole of your feet, there is nothing different from the next person that doesn't look like you in terms of complexion.
Yep.
So I don't know why there's a lot of premium in quotes that Africans place on Caucasians or people that they term white.
I can tell you why. It's very easy.
Yeah. Okay.
It's very easy. So after slavery, they knew the resources we had, right? They wanted to extract the resources. How do you get the people to extract the resources and give it to you, their own resources and give it to you? Happily. And that was why they had formal education. The formal education system, which was started by the missionaries and all these other people. If you go to the most rural part of Nigeria, you either see the Ahmadiyya people there or you see churches that build schools, right? Every part of Africa was like that.
Oh, yeah.
And the formal education was to get us to hate ourselves and to love everything. And then they took the raw materials and then they will make it into finished goods, and then they'll bring them through Kingsway, Glamour. I don't know if you probably had Kingsway in Nigeria.
Yeah, Nigeria. Yeah, Kingsway. Yeah.
Kingsway, all these other places, and then we had UTC, all these other stores where they'll bring it. The AWAM, our Alliance of West African Merchants, right? They'll bring it to the source and sell us their goods, and we consumed it. Even our fabric, right? Holland would get slaves to go work on an island in the Caribbean and make the cotton, and they bring it to Holland, and then they'll come and sell it to Africans. The African print that we say is African print. It was the Dutch that was doing that. But they trained us to think that everything that belonged to them is better. And even the Jesus that they taught us, they made Jesus in their own image. So now we see them and we think they are Jesus-like.
Yeah.
And so all of that indoctrination, you cannot discredit the impact of over 600 years of being indoctrinated and not have it affect us today. That's why I'm a staunch supporter and believer in the post-colonial stress syndrome studies that we need to do. Some people say it was a long time ago, we need to move on. But we're trying to move on and we're stumbling, right? But we need to look at how colonization has impacted us and then start to deconstruct and have these educational systems in place designed to teach us. Now, we talked about language for a second. When they do the IQ test, they say Africans have the lowest IQ, but they're doing the IQ test in the language that Africans don't understand. That's one.
Exactly.
Right? Mm-hmm. And then you have villages where we measure our intellect based on our ability to speak English or the French or whatever colonial language is.
Yeah.
Right? And so you have people who are in the rural areas who are very articulate in their mother tongues.
Yeah.
But the education system is teaching them in a different language that they can understand, so they cannot access that. And when they go to school, we call them dumb. And we track them differently because these people are dumb. And so we have to look at ways in which we can deconstruct all of that. And until we do that, we're not ready for prime time.
All right. This has been Africa Straight Talk. I, along with Zika, Oko, and Kwesi Wilson, truly appreciate your support. Reach out. We love to hear your thoughts and keep the conversation going.
And you can find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast by searching Africa Straight Talk. And of course, spread the word. You can tell a friend or 100 friends about us. If you're interested in sponsoring our podcast or being a guest on our show, do email us at africastraighttalk, that's one word, africastraighttalk@gmail.com. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We invite you to check back here for our next one. In the meantime, be safe, be well, and love one another.